Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series on the SP404 Mark II, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. B23 writes in and says, "Hi, I have a question regarding syncing the SP to an external MIDI clock source. I've been trying to record patterns into Ableton using the Ableton clock as the master, and the SP sequencer does not seem to be at all accurate. I'm using one-shot drum slots or one-shot drum samples in the TR mode to the sequence as though the SP were a drum machine, but when I record patterns into Ableton, say a one-bar loop, the beats are never on the grid, no matter which drum hits I subsequently set as 1.1. I know you said like a little bit more. My iPad's cutting it off and whatever. Anyway, I don't know, not knowing your full setup, it's really hard to say, but I can tell you generally that the MIDI implementation is what, like 40 years old? It's very old technology. And I would also say it's not intended to be sample accurate or anything else. So if you're used to using a DAW like Ableton, where you can come in and really fine tune exactly where drum hits land and where they are like down to the sample, you're really going to struggle with using a lot of external MIDI gear. That said, I don't know how you're connected. I don't know if you're using the TRS to MIDI jack going to another device, or if you're using USB-C. Personally, I would try USB-C if you're not using that yet. It can perform better, but I haven't looked into it, so I don't know how the SP404 Mark II is handling things down at the internal level, if it's able to run faster or if it's just using like that same, whether it's using the TRS or USB-C. So yeah, that said, I also am not quite sure if the problem you're having is when you're just starting initially or if it's sustained over a period of time. A lot of MIDI devices have a hard time syncing up with each other initially. So what I mean is, if you start playing, like if I started playing the Akai MPC from 1.1 and hit play and sent that over to the SP404 Mark II, it's not necessarily going to be in time immediately. It can take a few beats for it to actually get the MIDI clock and kind of get in sync. So, I mean, for me personally, what I've usually done for like the SP404 Mark II or other gear is, if I really am caring about that sample accuracy, is getting it more like on the second bar, third, fourth bar or something. I mean, you'll see like if you go look at what some of the performers and acts do, they usually have like a bar or two that they'll have like a master MIDI clock, whether it's an MPC or some other device, that will be blank and it'll have nothing playing. And they'll do that so that they can get everything else to sync up as best that they can in this live environment and work from there. I know that doesn't necessarily help you if you're really trying to get down to being very sample accurate. But yeah, it's kind of hard to know exactly what kind of problem you're experiencing. The other thing is, if you're just finding that notes will get triggered from an external device and they're not landing consistently on like the 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4, I would kind of see, does it behave better if you're using patterns and just triggering patterns from the SP404 Mark II, so that you're kind of letting the external sequencer, in this case being Ableton, just say, go play this stuff and then have it handle it. Because at least if you can do that and you find that the timing is better, you can go into utilities here, and I think it's under general. It's been a little while since I've looked for this. Is it? Maybe it's under MIDI, because there is a, yeah, sync delay. So if, like, you can use the sync delay and you can use plugin delay compensation on Ableton to kind of adjust where things land. If you haven't played with it, but I'm assuming you haven't, it's probably driven you nuts. But you at least have some sync delay on the SP404 Mark II that you can play with, and on Ableton you've got the PDC plugin delay compensation to just try and slide those things in a bit closer. Personally, though, I'm going to tell you, this is a big reason why I just kind of gave up, because the quality of MIDI devices, MIDI clock, and all of that varies wildly from device to device. You can get very expensive and much more accurate MIDI clock devices, but that's all they're going to do. They can help dramatically. I don't have one because I just kind of gave up on being as accurate as looking in a DAW might make you want to look at, and just kind of letting things go. So I know it's not great advice. Hopefully it at least helps give you a sense that you're not alone in this problem or problem space. And yeah, if you want to go look, you can go look up like MIDI latency problems and find white papers and things on this, and then find manufacturers that make devices that will try and make them better. But otherwise, if you're just going TRS MIDI to a MIDI device, maybe like an audio interface, and then into Ableton, you're just going to be adding a lot of potentially unnecessary latency into your system. So good luck. Drop some comments if you get any more information or want to try and chat about it some more. Happy to do the best I can to help, but I am certainly no expert on any of this between the latency and getting things lined up and all that. Anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by. Keep making music. Keep having fun. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. And peace.